So I wanted to ask you about the Washington Post as a technology platform. We hear a lot about ad tech, we hear a lot about vendors, we hear a lot about publisher innovation. You guys are kind of unique, so tell us a little bit about Red Innovation and how that technology services advertisers.
Yeah, so we have a heavy investment in building proprietary technology at the Post. That spreads across the whole org, from editorial to analytics to advertising. The overarching name for that group is ARC. So ARC Publishing, overseen by our CTO, Shailesh Prakash, is where we white label all of our technologies across the board and allow other partners to leverage them and use them as they wish. And out of that group, we built a separate group that focuses just on commercial product called Red, which is the Research, Experimentation, and Development team, where we saw a huge opportunity, especially in the publishing world, to really start investing in experimenting different ideas just for the commercial side of the business. So not so much what new features and things can we do just on the Washington Post, but can we actually replace third-party technologies and be the premier vendor within the space that helps build ad products and commercial products for agencies, brands, and other publishers that take into account everything that we know about experience and how our consumers want to engage content, and everything we know about the sales cycle and how agencies and clients work with publishers. So by doing that, to date, we've launched about 10 proprietary products at the Washington Post under the Red Group, which we do license to other publishers, agencies in the space, as well as sell on and off our site.
Cool. And tell us about video in particular and how you help agencies and brands with video through. There's so many different form factors on the Washington Post and off.
Right. So video is very expensive, especially for brands to really figure out where they allocate budget and what platforms they want to be on. So Facebook Live is very big, Snapchat Discover is big, as well as products that are offered on publishing sites like Pre-roll and InStream and so forth. And what we saw is that because of that, a lot of brands can't take advantage of a lot of the things that publishers are able to do. And instead of us just offering a service similar to like what an agency would do, where we could say, hey, look, you have this video and we could create it for you in the environment of what Snapchat would be and what Facebook would be, we saw a larger opportunity to say, in line with our technology mentality and us really becoming a tech company, can we create a technology that allows our partners and our advertisers to ingest and take advantage of all the assets that they currently create for all of these different platforms. So we launched a product called FlexPlay, and the idea of FlexPlay was just that. Like, how can we take television assets, which all of our clients have, that are 15 or 30 seconds or even as much as 60 seconds, and allow them to still leverage those, sympathizing with the process that clients need to speak with agencies, brands need to approve. A lot of these assets are a year in the making. The last thing they want is the Washington Post to come back and tell them to change something. So if we could build a technology that makes it easy for them, similar to a studio, where they can ingest this sort of video and then have certain options. So basically, do you want to add closed captioning? Because 85% of the volume is off when consumers are watching this content in Facebook feeds or in mobile video feeds. Or do you want it to be vertical or flexible or elastic to the container size based on how you're turning your device portrait landscape mode? So we built this technology with the idea of saying we want everyone to really start to partake in being innovative within video. Brands shouldn't wait 2 years to catch up to what we're doing on the publishing side if we can allocate energy to build technologies that allow them to do it in 10 to 15 seconds. So to date, we've had 40 advertisers that have taken advantage of this technology, some as big as Morgan Stanley, some as small as some of our clients like the Montgomery County Parks Association in Washington, D.C. And I think that's very important to note because we allow anyone with any budget to start really kind of tapping their foot in the water when it comes to vertical video, closed captioning video, auto start, auto stop, in-stream video, just by building a technology that we license to the world.
Great, and I wanted to ask you about native content. People call it different things. You've been involved with this for a number of years. Tell us what native content or the content studio means, both from the creative content creation and also how it works in terms of the cross-platform consumption.
Right. So, yes, I've been involved for a long time when it comes to content marketing, as early as the Huffington Post when we called it sponsored marketing or social marketing in 2010. And I think the greatest thing that native advertising has really taught us in this space is that there could be a collaborative approach to content creation for advertisers on and off platforms. So what native really introduced was the idea that brands, when they're strategizing, come up with an idea and a concept that they'll connect with their agency on. And then that agency will come directly to the publisher and say, this is where we're looking to go. This is the message that we want to tell. How do we best do that on your platform? And that works beautifully when it comes to native advertising because it is a very collaborative, creative approach. And what we've learned through that process is how can we apply that and what we know works in terms of collaboration with brands and agencies across everything that we're doing. So the studio now to date is rather large. I want to say there are about 20 to 25 designers, content producers, editors, project managers, operational folks that really just focus on tending to the client and building the client story. And again, the importance of that collaboration and getting it to extend beyond the Washington Post, within Facebook Instant and within Google AMP and the other platforms that we're on, is a key focus. So we do that in a creative way where we create content that resonates based on where those users are and how they engage on those platforms. We also do it in a technical way as well. So seeing trends like Facebook Canvas and AMP landing pages where you have this full, beautiful, full screen aesthetic when it comes to content marketing, can we build that same experience on the Washington Post? So then when we're working with a client like a Morgan Stanley, we say, hey, look, here's a product that you could buy on the Washington Post that we call Fuse, which is basically our instant advertising full portrait mode ad that replicates the same ad that you see on Facebook with Canvas and on Google with AMP landing pages and on Snapchat with Discover. So now when you're building content and you're really kind of working with the Washington Post Brand Studios team, we're building this experience for the Washington Post, but you could take those assets and make them native on all of the different platforms that you want to syndicate this through, whether that's ad networks, whether it's other publishers, whether it's your owned and operated sites, or even Facebook, Google, and Snapchat. So both on the technology side and on the content creation side, our focus is how can we make what we're building with advertisers extremely creative, but also as flexible as possible so that they could take this and run this everywhere where they want to kind of spray and play in the space.
And finally, Jared, it's been a big year, obviously a massive year around the election, and a big year for you guys. Give us some takeaways about growth, what's working, and kind of where the company is from a technology standpoint coming out of ending this year and heading into CES.
Yeah, so it's been an extremely exciting year. And it's been a year of important learning, especially again when we're talking about technology. So I think what we've really done in this massive growth year, our traffic has grown, our audience has grown, our engagements has grown, our distribution has grown, everything's grown. So with that, we've really been trying to figure out how can we build products at the pace that we're seeing the industry move so that we're at the forefront, not just in journalism, but in technology as well. And what we've really found is we've broken down the silos when it comes to product development at the Washington Post. In traditional publishing orgs, you have an ad product group, you have a consumer product group. And in the consumer product group, when you're building these products for audiences, you're looking for engagements and comments and likes and shares and all this optimistic, flowery language. And on the ad side, usually it's how do we interrupt that amazing experience and how do we collect their data and follow them across the web and things that are perceived as negative. So when you're focusing in those gaps, you're really not able to move everything forward because you're always kind of lagging behind because you're trying to solve for something that's not as far ahead as the other part of your business. And what we've done at the Post and with this growth, what we've recognized is extremely important is to break down those silos. We don't just focus on ad product. We don't just focus on consumer product. We are very much church and state when it comes to our editorial, but our technology is very much like Switzerland, where let's identify trends and be first to market on both sides of the fence. If everything is fast and Facebook Instant is fast and Google AMP is fast and we're teaching users not to wait more than 400 milliseconds for content to load, then why are they going to wait for an advertisement to load? So if we could already identify these things, can we start building products that help make ads render faster, that help a better user experience, that are flexible, tappable, mobile first, and clickable? And those things we're actually doing. And I think that's the best part about kind of what we've seen and where we've grown at the Post is that we're not just talking about these things, we've actually built products based on these trends, like Zeus, which makes ads 75% faster, or like Fuse, which is instant advertising for the Washington Post branded content team. And we're the only ones in the space doing that. And whether it works or not, We've seen very great results early on, but we're at least able to influence where we need to go. Because if ad dollars and spending is going to Google and Facebook, then publishers really need to figure out how do we make ourselves more attractable. And that's really been this focus on, let's focus on industry trends. Let's not wait. Let's actually bring them to the commercial side. Let's help pave the way and make it accessible for anyone so that anyone eventually could use Zeus if it's open source or if it's sellable, or use Fuse or these products that we see working extremely well for our advertisers on the Washington Post.